Whether you're a diehard sports fan, a hopeless romantic, or a comedy aficionado, the Xfinity 10G network was made for streaming it all. Worry less about buffering when streaming your favorite shows, movies, or live sports, and enjoy a better way to watch. Xfinity gives you a reliable connection for streaming, plus all the entertainment you love all in one place. Fear not, because now you can finally sit back, relax, and stream your favorite entertainment and sports like never before with the Xfinity 10G network.
Well, there's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and let the parties go spread the holiday cheer. 'Cause it's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
Do you know what today is?
Is it Krampus knocked?
I mean, it's that, but it's also episode
It's not.
100 of Christmas 365.
Fucking 100, dude! We did it!
Yeah! We just
Merry
have to do it
Christmas! Boo, 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 boo!
We just have to do it 265 more times. But
Holy fuck, man.
but so Krampus is the movie we're talking about
It's
for
not
episode 100.
Krampus knocked, by the way.
No, I don't want to confuse anybody.
Matt was just straight up like lobbing a softball at me, and I'm like swinging a fucking whiff, dude.
So
Holy shit.
Krampus is a controversial movie over here on the Christmas 365 podcast, which is why I thought it would make a good episode 100, because you have like an undying love. This is a yearly watch for you. I'm pretty sure this is you said this and Black Christmas are like Halloween night watches, correct?
Okay, so what I do on Halloween night is I'm usually handing out like candy with my family and stuff, but whatever I'm doing that year, when I get home, I usually make a cup of coffee and throw on a double feature of Trick or Treat and then Krampus.
And then the Krampus. Got it.
Speaking of which, Trick or Treat 2, Michael Dougherty confirming once again that it's still happening. I just want you to know that this is a bit that just a few of our listeners might get. Me and a certain rather not really famous but well-known horror writer for a specific site got into a spat because he kept posting back in like 2013 that Michael Dougherty says Trick or Treat 2 still happening, and continued to post that as like big Trick or Treat 2 update. And I just want to say 2022 big Trick or Treat 2 update. Michael Dougherty says still happening.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I, however, have had kind of a lukewarm reception to Krampus. And it's not like, you know, we did the Jersey Ghouls podcast where we talked about something like Better Watch Out, where it's like that movie I straight up have no desire to ever rewatch. If I'm at someone's house and they're watching it, I may even like see what's happening in the kitchen, like see if there's other people socializing. Same. Krampus isn't that. Like, I don't hate it so much that I'm like, oh, I can't even be in the room. In fact, most of the time that I've watched Krampus beyond the first time was in group settings with friends. And I do feel like that is a slightly better way to watch this movie. And I do enjoy the movie more each time I see it. But I think the central problem that I've always had with this movie, and we're going to start here and work outward, this will be like a Krampus therapy session, is that the thing that bothers me is that I hate that the kid that I identify the most with in this movie is basically being punished for just liking Christmas too much.
I was hoping you were going to be like, it's the kid that gets sucked through the chimney
no,
by the gingerbread cookie.
Like, I just, you know, like, I feel like everything about this movie, I would feel so differently if two things happened, honestly. But the one would be like, if this was like a dude who was like shitting all over Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how dare you like not have, like the fact that it's like a kid whose Christmas spirit has been crushed by his awful family.
And he's getting punished for it.
He's getting punished for the audacity of thinking that Christmas should be like a special time with traditions with his family. Like, that never worked for me. I feel like it works better if maybe, like, think about if it was completely reversed, right? Like, think of it if his family was like almost obnoxiously too Christmassy.
And he sucked.
And he sucked.
Fuck Christmas.
And that's why, and now it's like, shit, I have to regain my Christmas spirit to save my family because I have like ruined this by being such a little shit that Krampus is now here to torture everybody all because of, like, I just feel like the role reversal will work a lot more. And then also, I know that this is like a and we'll talk about it because I think you saw it. I just feel like this movie, for going from how good Trick or Treat was, like, I hate that this is a PG-13 movie. And I'm not someone who shits on like PG-13 horror at all, but it's like, it's not sweet enough to need to be a PG-13. It's actually a pretty mean-spirited movie. So just like fucking go for it and give me like some really gory kills and give me that, like, really earn an R rating. And I think you bought the director's cut and said that it is like one of the most worthless director's cuts you've ever watched. It's like three or four extra lines or something, right?
So the director's cut has a lot more of Aunt Dorothy, which honestly, if you're going to add any more dialogue to any of the characters, it needed to be Aunt Dorothy because that character is phenomenal. But when you name something the naughty cut, like, I'm expecting you to go full in. Like, I'm expecting you've got enough footage to where, holy shit, like, we can make the movie the way we wanted to make it now. And that's the reason I picked it up from Scream Factory. And when I rewatched it, and unfortunately the theatrical cut isn't on the disc, and I think that might be a rights issue. I don't know, like, why they wouldn't.
I'm not sure how that works. They did something similar when they put out the Nightbreed Cabal cut. It doesn't have the unedited. It doesn't have the theatric release of Nightbreed. So you almost
who's got two thumbs and ordered that $70 box set? This guy.
Oh, Jesus.
Was it you? Did you do it?
No. What? So wait, are you talking about the Halloween one that they put out?
No. I'm talking about the one that they did for Nightbreed. They put out when they released Nightbreed on Blu-ray, they put out the director's cut Blu-ray.
The Cabal cut, I have that.
And that same day that they announced it, they put up a pre-order for a special collector's set that came with the director's cut and the theatrical cut. And it was the only way they could distribute the theatrical cut. They had a limit. And what's funny is nowadays Scream Factory is well known for saying, we won't print any more of these. Hey, we printed more of these.
Yeah.
But what's funny is this is one of the few releases where they've not re-released the theatrical cut. Like, it was part of this. I think they made like 1,000 of them, and that's it.
I do have a slight, we are not going to turn this into an anti-Scream Factory podcast, because Scream Factory has brought a lot of great titles. But 100%. I was just talking to my friend the other day, and we were talking about they're doing their Shocktober sale. I think it's over by the time this episode comes out. And homeboy may have put $200 on his credit card just to like load up on some titles. But my friend pointed out, he's like, this is the one year where I'm not that excited about the Shocktober sale because so many of the announcements have just been like, well, now this movie that we already put out is on 4K. Like, there hasn't been nearly as many like, oh, we just nailed down the rights to like this deep cut movie that you never dreamed would get a release. And I get it. I get the business is like, look, whenever we put out Halloween or The Fog, that like keeps us in business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it has been, I would say that 2022 has been a little bit of a bummer on like, it's been mostly just like 4K releases of stuff that they already put out on Blu-ray or like deep cut Hammer films that they got.
And you know, it does, like, sometimes it does almost suck me in. Especially when they did like the Army of Darkness and the Fog ones. When
Yeah.
they start including fucking exclusive 7-inch cuts of the soundtrack, I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
You goddamn motherfucker. Like,
mean-
nobody needs the Fog on 4K, bro. Like, that's not, to me, that's not even how that movie was supposed to be seen. Like,
No,
like
it's-
Blu-ray is good enough. Then even then, I'm like, bring me a VHS to watch this shit. Like that.
My DVD's perfect. My
Yeah.
DVD of The Fog is perfect. It's a
Yeah.
little bit cleaner than the VHS, but like that movie needs to be a little bit grainy and
Exactly.
and
So
in shadows.
don't get me wrong. I like when those got announced, I put them in my shopping cart and then I was like, I'm going to fucking do this. And I never did it. So I'm kind of proud of myself there because I held back.
No, I pulled a trigger on literally like I think 12 Blu-rays
God damn.
but it was literally just like it was just like, you know what? Let's just get these. Let's just
Yeah.
get, because it was like literally these are the last 12 Scream Factory DVDs that I even have an interest in.
Yeah.
And some of them it's like, who knows? Like I could wait until the next sale and then it's sold out and it's like because they were like, it was like stuff like the Island of Terror where it's like that shit ain't getting re-released once they're
No,
sold
no,
out
no.
of it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
So I just kind of made my moves there, and then it's like, all right, well then from here on out, they make their announcements. I can look, and is it something I'm going to pre-order, or is it something I'm not going to give a shit about? And that's just like I have like a baseline now. It's no
And
longer like
My thought is like you. Yeah, we can judge them for putting out like The Fog again, Army of Darkness again. But like look at some of these other boutique labels, which no shame to them. But I don't think that Scream Factory wants to like move over to just releasing grindhouse porn. Like I
Yeah,
mean, like
no.
I mean, again, I'm not throw them out there. I'm not trying to diss Vinegar Syndrome at all. But I don't think that's what Scream Factory wants to become. Like
No,
it's not their thing.
But every once in a while, Vinegar Syndrome gets a movie where I'm like, that should have been a Scream Factory movie. You know what I
Dude.
mean? Like Drop Dead Fred.
Drop
I'm
Dead
like,
Fred,
that,
yeah.
yeah. Like I'm like that. What is that doing on Vinegar Syndrome? Because just you get like, oh no, I think that there's those things where it's like now I have to like pay attention to Vinegar Syndrome newsletters.
Yeah.
Because it's like every like 6 months there actually might be a title that I'm like, oh shit, about. Like,
Yeah. But
But all right, so
I've
Krampus,
officially well hold on. I've officially become the person that like I will stop myself. Like from here on. Like it's really weird. Like I'll stop myself from buying shit. Like I used to be like, I haven't seen this. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna check that shit out. That looks like it's a great fucking cover. I'm gonna watch that, dude. I've reached the point where I'm like, is this streaming? Oh, it's on the shelf. Never mind. We'll watch.
Well, you know what though? So I'll tell you where I do end up just buying based on the cover is still the VHS PS table at any
Yeah.
horror convention because it's like $10 a bootleg DVD, and like I know that I'm not going to be able to find it anywhere else. So I'm just like, all right, fucking, let's give it a shot. But okay,
Dude, Revolver. Hold on, this is on brand actually. Revolver magazine just re-released the Trick or Treat vinyl. So my fingers crossed that maybe the rights to that flick are up in the air, and we can get a limited Blu-ray or 4K release of good old Ragman, my friend. I want to see Trick or
Nice.
Treat on Blue, and I need to
There
get
you
out
go.
there to that Mahoning show later this month.
not
All
to
right.
be confused for Trick or Treat.
Not to be confused by with Trick or Treat, which is also directed by Michael Dougherty, the director of Krampus.
There we go.
We did it.
So I will say one thing that always has hit every single time that I've watched this movie.
Is that opening sequence?
That opening sequence
yeah, dude.
is a masterpiece.
And that's the thing is like, and that's another reason I hold this movie so near and dear. I saw it in theaters. The whole family went. Like my parents went. My sister went. We all went to see it. And that opening sequence is so fucking good. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It's beginning
right?
to look a lot like Christmas, yeah.
Beginning to look a lot.
But again,
like
that
Christmas.
opening would still make sense in the idea that I pitch where everyone is
100%.
Christmassy except for the kid. Like,
Yeah.
because it's the kid that's brawling with someone else.
And here's my thing is like when he gets home and the parents are pissed and he's like, bro, just guy kept looking at me and said there's no such thing as Santa. I feel like my parents would be like, that kid's a dick. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's watch Charlie Brown and fucking make some cookies.
Well, that's because like that's the thing. It's the same vibe that I feel when I watch like Home Alone 2, right?
Yeah.
Where like Kevin's getting in trouble when like the entire audience was sitting there watching Buzz like publicly humiliate this kid.
Yeah.
And all he did was like push him out of anger, and they're like, well, we've got to figure out who was the aggressor here. And it's like, what are you talking about? Go to the tape. Frank was filming it.
Dude, you're not fucking wrong, man. Like, this bitch just said Santa's not real. Like, and I think what I like about the kid is I think he's very, like, he's aware of the fact that Santa doesn't exist. Like, I think he's just very much like, it's the Christmas spirit. It's us.
He's us.
It's us, dude. It's 100% us. So I feel like even then, like, if I looked at my parents now as a 30-year-old and was like, motherfucker said Santa wasn't real, so I punched him. Yeah. I feel like they would still be like, yeah, that guy's a dick. Like still, I don't understand why these parents didn't have this kid's back.
And that, I guess
really
that's the other thing. It's a really frustrating family throughout most of the movie. Like that is really, it's a lot. It's a lot to take. It's an aggressively mean movie.
It is, but I do love me some Adam Scott. I could watch Adam Scott in pretty much anything.
Yeah, I think this was one of those movies where the bar was so high for me because of how much I love Trick or Treat. I
can't
love
watch
Christmas.
it anymore, man. I've seen it so many goddamn times.
It's funny. Everyone was so excited about it coming out in theaters this year, and I was like, I've seen it.
Yeah,
like,
I have watched that movie so many fucking times. Like I and that was another
I
thing.
haven't actually. I think the last time I watched it was when we covered it for Horror Movie Night, maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
And since then, I've been like, you know what? I think I need to take a break on this. It's not that I dislike it. It's not that I think it's overrated. It's none of those things. I think it is a masterpiece. I think everyone should see it. I just sent one of the kids that I was a youth group leader for is off at college, said she wanted to get into horror movies, and I made her a list of 31 movies to watch in October, and it was absolutely on there. Like, I was like, you need to watch it. It's great. But, like, I feel like Trick or Treat is going to be similar to how I feel about Napoleon Dynamite, which was like, at the time that Napoleon Dynamite came out, I was fucking obsessed and watched it constantly with my friends. And then it stopped being fun to watch. And I didn't watch it for like a decade. But then when I went to rewatch it for the first time in like 10 years, I was like, oh, this is great all over again.
Dude,
like,
so funny enough, and this is about to become the View Askew podcast pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Like, that's my feelings about the View Askewniverse movies. So before Teddy and I had started dating, I hadn't watched like those movies in at least 5 or 6 years, and I was fucking obsessed with those.
Yeah.
So rewatching them, I was like, damn, these motherfuckers hold up, dude. Yeah. These things are great, man. So I'm hoping I just give it some time, and I think I'll like Trick or Treat again. Like I mentioned a little earlier, there's a Mahoning show where they're showing Trick or Treat and Trick or Treat. And literally, like, the only thing holding me back is, like, do I really want to drive 3 hours to watch a movie that I've seen a billion times? I mean, just because I want to see the other one.
Depending on the day or night, because I feel like Trick or Treat is not going to be the B picture on that one. Like, they have to start with the lesser known one. Go see the lesser known one. Stop halfway at my house to save yourself some money on a hotel. Hang out here for the day, and then go back home.
Maybe we'll do that. That's a great fucking idea. However, would you let me come into your house if I stayed for both showings?
I mean, I might just give you a key.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the thing. This can all get cut. I'm actually just planning now.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's tough. Mahonen's not maybe half the drive for me that it is for you. And even I had to leave midway through Scream because I was just like, it's midnight. I'm not going to get home until 2 if I don't leave now.
I typed it in. It's 2.5 hours from me.
Yeah, it's about an hour and 40 for me. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks when you're like, man, I really... Especially when you're like, it's already sundown, and you're like, yo, can you start the first feature so
Yeah,
we can get
you're
out
like,
of here
can
in
you
a
turn on
reasonable
this
time?
goddamn radio? Why are you playing this? You're gonna play this for another fucking hour? I've got to drive, bro.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to stay here.
Charles, this portion of the podcast is for a very specific audience who lives near the Pocono Mountains. That gets what the hell we're talking about.
I know, but I'm like, I camped there once. It was for the first John Carpenter weekend. Felt really sick day 2. Never fucking again.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do up there at all.
No, it
like
is-
there's
is
a
boring.
Walmart. That's it.
Yeah. All right, so there are 2 things that I want to bring up that I do really well. One thing that I really enjoy in Krampus, and
Yeah.
one thing that is another big chunk of why I
And then
struggle
I gotta
with
talk about
Krampus.
the things I like. God damn.
Yeah. This movie has practical monsters and CGI monsters in it, and the practical monsters look so good, and it makes some of the CGI choices all the more frustrating to watch.
So you don't
Like,
you don't like the gingerbread cookies?
I think the gingerbread cookies are okay because I do think that that's the only way that you could
have done
do
that.
them. The bear being CGI, like the portions where the Jack in the Box is CGI, where I'm like, we already had the practical Jack in the Box. Why didn't you just like?
Well, wasn't I think I think they had the bear too. I think it's like when it was like the mouth was like I think that's when it was CGI. Whatever. I mean, it makes sense. 100%. Like,
Yeah, like
they look so much better.
They just look stronger. But I do love, and this is another case of me not really knowing one or the other, but I do love the claymation flashbacks, whether it's
so
CGI
good.
claymation or legitimate claymation. Like
Yeah.
at this point, they're so good with the regular claymation, I can't even tell the difference. But
Yeah.
like that stuff is great. Like those,
Yeah, and it's a great callback to like holiday specials.
yeah. I mean, I'm almost getting sick of that being like. Because I feel like, well, we're 100 episodes in. There's probably been 15 episodes where we talked about, they did the
The claymation
Rudolph the Red-Nosed
flashback
Reindeer
thing.
claymation thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, like I'd rather just see someone do a full movie. Like at least with Community, they went all in and were like, no, we're doing the whole episode.
Do you think maybe
in a
you and
claymation
I
style.
are particularly sick of it because we have a podcast that we have to record for every
No, I mean, it's no, because it's just one of those things. There's certain like television tropes where you're just kind of like, okay, I know what this is. I know the beats of this. Like, I literally was just listening to an episode of the Gilmore Guys where they were talking about. There was a scene where Luke is talking real fast about how happy he is, but Lorelai has to give him bad news. And while he's talking, she keeps just saying his name, and he's like, I could count on like every hand the amount of TV shows that have done
that.
the excited love interest rambling while the person that's going to have to break their heart in that second has nothing to say but that person's name until they calm down. And then they have to just, the person's not calming down, so they just have to interrupt them and just say what their bad news is, and then everything goes quiet. It's like, it has been done in every single TV show. Like, it's, and that's what I mean. It's just like, I have seen it so many times now that it's like, it still makes me happy because, I mean, I'm a claymation loving man, but.
Yeah. No, I get it. I feel like this was different enough to me it's a callback to like early holiday stuff, but like I think the claymation was done just different enough that it doesn't seem like it was inspired by something in particular. Like the Community, like that's obviously Rankin Bass stuff, but like I feel like the claymation that they did for this, whether it was digital or not, was different enough to where it almost felt very Burton-esque. More Burton-esque
It did
than
feel.
it does.
It felt more Burton or whatever that guy's name is, Neil something, who did Nightmare Before Christmas and all of that stuff.
That Tim Burton did that one.
How dare you? Listen, that poor man's entire career has been overshadowed by Tim Burton.
Dude, it's wild. Like, even when you talk about, like, that Tim Burton movie Coraline.
Yeah, Tim Burton had nothing to do with it. Not even a little
Tim Burton movie Paranorman. Like, fuck you, dude.
Well, I mean, you'll be happy to know 10-year anniversary of Paranorman. We did it for our Halloween we're doing it for our Halloween episode of Horror Movie Night. We all loved it, so good news on that.
Aw. I want to talk about Paranorman.
Well, too bad. We already recorded it. So
Motherfucker, man.
all right. So what are the things in Krampus that you love?
Oh, okay. So I absolutely adore like the Krampus look. I love that version of.
So I said Neil. The dude's name is Harry. It's
It doesn't
Harry
matter.
Schleck. I just want to make sure that I'm giving the man proper respect.
Harry, if you're listening, we're sorry.
Sorry. And also it's Henry. I said Harry, right?
God damn it. So I do love the look of the Krampus. My favorite shot in the entire movie is when he's jumping from house to house chasing the daughter.
Yeah,
I think that is a great fucking scene. And him jumping off the roof and landing next to the car and the loud boom and just the way they did that, it was so fucking cool. And I guess when I think about what I didn't like about Krampus is there's not enough fucking Krampus.
Yeah.
Like it's more the toys, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. But I want more Krampus in my Krampus movie. And this was the first Krampus movie I saw where it wasn't the usual Krampus, just the fucking horned devil. Like it was really the design was really cool. Michael Dougherty has come out and said that like the Santa face he wears is a mask. We've never seen what this Krampus actually looks like, but it's just such a cool look with the hood and the horns coming out. Reminded me a lot of the look of the actual Krampus dude from what's that movie we talked about last week a little bit?
Rare Exports.
Rare Exports. Thank you. Reminded me.
I was like the Hammer film version of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, Rare Exports. It reminded me, at least the look of the guy reminded me of the frozen entity of Krampus, what I would imagine it was if we saw that thawed. So that's kind of what this version of Krampus reminds me of. I love the look of him. I like the elves. The elves are cool. But I'm with you. I think they needed to go one way or the other. Either go full into gore and give it a full R, or go the other way with it and make it a little more lighthearted or even slapsticky in a way. If you're gonna lean into that, lean into the gingerbread shit, like even harder if that's the way you're gonna go. But I think you're right. I do think this movie itself has an identity issue, almost.
Yeah. So I want to talk about one other big piece of the puzzle, which
and again,
I have mixed
it's Adam
feelings
Scott
on.
fucking rules. That I like that too. Adam Scott was awesome in this.
Yeah, no, that's an undeniable piece. How do you feel about the ending, which
Okay.
is...
Have we talked about this before?
You and I think, have discussed this.
Okay.
That there seems to be two different reads on how this
first
movie
off, and I know
ends.
you're going to bring it up, but have you read the comic?
I haven't. I'm aware that the comic kind of just is like...
It confirms one of them.
Yeah, it confirms that... No, so at the end of this movie, obviously, if you're listening to this, you've probably heard this or seen this already, but just in case, at the end of this movie, like, it cuts to the family looking outside the window, and it zooms out, and they're inside a snow globe, and Krampus picks up the snow globe, and he puts it on a shelf with all these other snow globes. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I watched, I thought, oh no, he didn't save the day. They are trapped in, like, Krampus's weird hell.
Which is straight up fuck this movie if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because that's going the better watch out route, where we're like, God damn it.
Yeah. But then there was a
catch a
comic
break.
book. Yeah, then there was a comic book release, though, that basically was like, no, that just means that Krampus is, like, watching over everybody to make sure that they're on their best behavior after the Krampus visit. Like, you got one strike, and that's the only amount of strikes that you get with Krampus. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. Like, obviously, I guess we both kind of played our hand a little bit in the sense of, like, we definitely don't like the option where they are like in some weird Krampus based hell. But
dude, that would suck. Like again, we've talked about how much we hate downer endings in our Christmas movies.
yeah,
Like, it's not what we want this time of year. And I think the comic book definitely confirms the second one, where it is just Krampus watching over you and letting you know he's always watching. Hey, I can totally come back and do this again, but this time really take you. And it's really very much a warning. And I've never seen an interview with Michael Dougherty. I don't even know what the guy looks like. He could pass me on the street. I would in a million years never know it was him. But I want to say he's like us, like you and I, where Halloween's fair game, Christmas is sacred.
well, even I mean, we've made this comparison before, but even how we assume we feel we know Trey and Matt.
Yeah.
Where it's like they don't fuck around with their Christmas stuff that much. Like
Exactly.
They can get weird with their Christmas stuff for sure, but you get a vibe that they really do love that holiday and want to like protect it at all costs.
And that's why I'm feeling that, again, he's like, Halloween's fair game. We'll kill all those assholes like in Trick or Treat. But Krampus, we're just teaching a lesson. We're teaching a lesson, and none of these people deserve to die. And I don't think any of them did. Like the redneck family, I can't remember anybody's name. David, what's his name? What's his last name?
Oh, Keshner?
Yeah, David Keshner's kids, they sucked. Like 100%. But I don't think any of these characters earned a death. So I like to think that they were just taught a lesson, and the finding of the Krampus bell was him saying, hey, I'm still here. I'm still watching. Just be on your best behavior. Watch Charlie Brown. So I don't know, man.
Take me to hell in that case, Krampus. I don't want to be forced to watch Charlie.
Fuck you. I like Krampus, man.
I don't
in
hate
this
Krampus.
Yeah,
I would
I think
never.
in this
If I
discussion-
hated it, I'd be like, we're not talking about it because it'll be a bad time for.
Well, exactly,
for-
and that's why you and I have agreed we're never going to discuss Jim Carrey's The Grinch on here, because
it would just be us like taking a huge shit on something that other people really do
yeah,
like.
yeah. And don't get me wrong. If you would have caught me 3 years ago, I would have loved to have recorded that episode. But I feel like in the past few years, and I texted you this the other day, is I'm just tired of negative discourse, dude.
Yeah, and
all
hey,
people
stay
always
tuned
have
for next week's
shit.
episode. We will get into that just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I like Krampus. I think in this discussion, I'm starting to realize that I like moments in Krampus and certain things about Krampus. I do love, it is a little mean-spirited, but I do love the family's interactions.
Yeah, it's far from a perfect movie. Like
No.
I do
exactly.
To go back to what we were saying with Trick or Treat, I do genuinely think Trick or Treat is a perfect movie.
Okay.
It may be one that I've watched too much and I've been overexposed to and I'm a
Yeah.
little tired of, but like the way that it weaves stories together, like the pacing of it, like it hits all of the right beats. It is easily, if not the best, one of the top 5 best anthology films that has ever been made. It's a great like Halloween, like it hits everything. It captures that Halloween vibe. It hits all of the notes. Krampus just doesn't quite pull it off as perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's still like, look, if this was someone's first movie and I wasn't basing it against a Trick or Treat, I'd be like, this is great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's like,
Yeah.
because you could see what he could do and how perfectly he could execute something. Like, I went in with such a high expectation for what this was going to be because I'm like, the dude who made the perfect Halloween movie is about to make a Christmas horror movie. There's no way this isn't going to be the greatest Christmas horror movie that's ever been made.
And I think that's a lot. That's where a lot of the negativity came from this movie. Because I don't know if you remember when this movie came out, people were divided on it. Like you had people absolutely love this movie, and people just say this was stupid as shit. Like they went in thinking they were gonna get Trick or Treat and got Gremlins. Like it's two totally different things. So I totally get where you're coming from. I enjoy Krampus, but I know there's flaws. But I will continue to watch it every year. It is definitely a staple of mine. I feel like I think you would still recommend it, even though it's not your favorite thing, right? Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen Krampus, I really hope you didn't listen to this because it spoiled it for you. But if you haven't, go watch Krampus. It's a fun watch. It's definitely a fun watch. I think it's great as a transition movie at the end of this month, or even as a November movie.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Yeah, honestly, usually I watch it once on Halloween and then I throw it on at least in the background during my usual season of Christmas fare. But that's Krampus, guys. I love it. I'll always love it.
Hey, happy 100 episodes, Dylan.
Dude, merry 100 episodes, Matt.
Oh, whoa, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy Holly, have a great Holly, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.